welcome back to the Don't Trust the Neighbours podcast. I'm Olivia.
I'm Kirsty.
And for today's episode, we are travelling 63 miles away from Kirsty and I to Warwick University, England. Warwick is a part of the Sutton 13 and is currently ranked the 8th best university in the UK, according to The Guardian. Notable alumni, according to me, include various presidents, prime ministers and politicians, but also Stephen Merchant, co-producer and co-writer of The Office and Extras, Ruth Jones, who's the icon who plays Nessa in Gavin and Stacey, Tony Wheeler, the creator... I know, I love her so much. Tony Wheeler, the creator of the Lonely Planet travel guides, and Sting, who enrolled but left after one term. Fair play.
Fair play, yeah. Fair play.
Good decision. Such a shame it is then that such a dark cloud was cast over Warwick University in 2018. This case starts with a woman under the pseudonym Anna and a woman called Nicole. Anna was a history student and Nicole was a modern languages student. Nicole recalled hanging around the library, getting food and doing standard friendly things with this one group of lads. Nicole described the boys as normal and the life and soul of every event. However, they did used to tell some of the girls in the group anecdotes and jokes about this group chat that all the boys were in. The girls would ask to see it, but they'd always respond saying they wouldn't care and it was mostly a football chat. Which I just think is so annoying to have just like a group of boys giggling around you and being like, can I see? Nope.
It's such childish as well, though, isn't it? You know, like when you're in the playground, someone's got a toy and they're like, no, you can't play with it. Only we're allowed to play with it. It's such a demeaning thing to say to someone as well.
Anna was close friends with one of the boys. They would even go on holidays together and he'd go to her family home at Christmas time. But in March 2018, Anna was sat in her flat with the same male friend and he kept getting messages on his laptop. He then proceeded to show her some more of the lads group chat as if he were proud and showing off. But he took her through a 1.5 years worth of rape threats.
What?
I can't even imagine. That would just be terrifying to read that and be sat next to one of the people involved. But some of the things that were said were, I swear to God, if it's that girl in my flat, I'm going to go all 1945 advancing Soviet army on her and rape her in the street while everybody watches. Rape her and run. I think I would have disabled her. And then, I hate women. I'm having an official month of disrespect.
What the actual... Oh my God, that is...
I know. I saw on TikTok recently that they said that April 25th was going to be National Rape Day or something. I have no idea where it started from, but it's just disgusting.
It's just such incel bullshit though, isn't it? It's just, I hate women, it's National Rape Day. No, it's not. It's National You're Misogynistic, Evil, Nasty Prick Day.
This all sounds very much like a very exaggerated story in a film or something. Like, it just sounds completely, I don't know, it's real, but it just sounds completely unreal.
It does sound like one of Tom Cruise's shit masterpieces, doesn't
yeah.
it?
They also said, sometimes it's fun to go wild and rape 100 girls. Rape the whole flat to teach them all a lesson. Oh God, I would hate to be in the firing line if I had a vagina. It's just disgusting.
It's just, I actually have no words for how horrific that is.
I'm really lucky because I have a big group of guy friends who I care about. I know they care about me and they would never do anything like this. But if one day I saw 1.5 years of them talking about me like this, I think I would just go mad.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the whole thing when going back to the whole not all men thing that men were trying to say that were trending. It was like, oh, it's not all men who are like this. Yeah, no, it's not. We do understand that. I do understand that the majority of men that we know aren't like this. But look at this. They thought they were nice men. And look at what they did.
Yeah. Anna started taking pictures of the screen as he was scrolling while he was sat next to her. She told him it was for her own peace of mind and he said it was okay. She searched her own name and hundreds of results appeared. She noticed that a lot of the conversations were surrounding her friends, rape, gang rape and genital mutilation. He could see her getting more upset and he started to realise it was more serious than he initially thought. I'm just assuming that because the chat had been going on for so long, the feeling of wrongdoing or that he had been involved in something truly disgusting was probably diffused by the other people because they were probably all validating each other.
At what point of can someone not think talking about genital mutilation and rape via text is acceptable? How can you suddenly be like, oh, maybe that wasn't so acceptable after all?
And it's so weird because it's 11 of these boys managed to find each other at this university and they all were just as horrific as each other.
That's a terrifying prospect, actually, how easy that was for them to meet each other.
The boy offered to stay at Anna's, which, no thank you. That he said it was to make sure that she was okay, as if he cared. She sensed that it wasn't the case and he probably just wanted to monitor her movements and manipulate her or gaslight her into thinking that it wasn't that bad. He joked, "You don't understand, this is how boys chat."
No, it's not.
It's not.
No. I think she just read messages where you've said you want to rape her and now you think, I'll stay at your house to keep you safe. What planet are you living on? What's wrong with you?
It's also like, if that's what you think is a joke, then your sense of humor is so dry. Like,
dry.
You're not funny if you think that's a joke. It's just...
Maybe Voldemort had better sense of humor than that. And he committed mass genocide in fictional form.
I'm just remembering when he hugged Draco.
Yeah, that hug sums this whole episode, actually, to be perfectly honest with you.
Anna called Nicole saying, "You need to come over. I found something and we need to chat now." They sat for an hour and looked through the screenshots together. They saw one message saying, "Which girl would you like to pin down the most?" They saw their and their friends' names listed. I can't imagine just like the utter betrayal of this.
I just can't imagine having to read that and just such violation, even just knowing someone wants to do that to you. You just must feel so violated.
They made a complete game out of the idea of raping and assaulting their female friends.
Yeah, because it's horrible. The fucking hysterical game.
It's also because going to university is so hard, and like for some people it can be so difficult to make friends, and you're away from home for the first time, and so the friends you make are like your family away from home. It's so sad.
I know.
They talked about drugging girls, and one claimed that they had already drugged a female student. When inspecting the messages, the university decided that one video shared in the chat had to be reported to the police. I couldn't find any information on what this video was, but my personal guess is that it might have been that the boys were having sex with an obviously drunk, intoxicated girl, or a video was taken without a girl's consent.
Yeah, but just that one video, right? That whole chat, one video, awesome. Well, I'm saying that I don't know the rest of the story, so sorry, on you go.
I mean, that's the last I heard about that, or could find anything on that, was just that a video existed. While the women involved in the messages were deciding what to do, more girls began to find out what was going on. West Midlands Police sent a specialist officer to inspect the chat, and they told the BBC, having considered the wishes of those affected, no formal police action will be taken. It's just like, it's kind of like Brock Turner all over again. It's like, oh, they had a bright future. We shouldn't let this affect it. And it's like, no, they should be held accountable.
It's just so, they really should. Because if you can joke about such violent things so openly and so easily, to the point that you show it off to people as if it's some sort of prized possession, how is that not every single red flag in the history of the world?
The boys responsible got angrier that more people were finding out. Nicole was sent a message from one of the boys telling her to stop them from getting out because there would be consequences for everyone. Anna was starting to have anxiety and panic attacks, and these boys were her friends and she felt violated. She decided she had to do something and complain. Nicole was happy something was being done, but didn't want to put a complaint forward herself, which you can't blame her because she probably just thought that she wanted to move on. And also, in some of these situations, it could be manipulated and somehow reflect badly on her and affect her future in some way if she was to get dragged into this.
And also, if she's being threatened by these guys, that's going to scare her. But like you said, it's going to affect her future. Like, how many times have we seen situations like this happen time and time and time again? And like you brought up Brock Turner earlier, gets away pretty much scot-free, spends 3 months in prison, suffers nothing in his life in regards to the consequence of what he's done, and the woman suffers everything. It's not right. Sick of it.
I think I heard something, I think it might have been on TikTok or it might have been on Twitter, I can't remember. But it's like, boys are given every opportunity to learn and to grow, but girls have to be perfect from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we just have to learn to put on a front and act like we're okay with rape threats.
I know.
All the universities have a student complaint system for students to report offences that break university rules and codes of conduct, but these documents are usually hidden within the university websites and difficult to find. On the 25th of April 2018, Anna and another woman discussed in the chat submitted a complaint. 2 days later, at 10:09 p.m. on a Friday, Anna received an email from Peter Don, the appointed investigating officer. He also happened to be the director of press and media relationships for the university.
Oh, shock.
I don't know why you would appoint him as the investigating officer. Surely, even a counsellor or someone would be better.
Because the university does not give a shit about these students.
No.
No.
He invited Anna to attend an interview the following Tuesday. Anna should have had more time to digest and emotionally prepare and to get the necessary support, but she wasn't given or offered this. As the investigation began, 11 men were suspended from campus pending Peter Dunn's inquiries. I just think that's awful that she got barely any time to prepare for that meeting. There was no one that was working for the university who was also kind of
protecting Anna.
Yeah. Elliot Mulligan, the editor of the student newspaper The Board, got wind that there was a story happening involving some of the students. He knew there was an issue with the press office as soon as they received documentation. Eventually, they got hold of the screenshots and information about the investigation. Elliot remembers publishing the article and the views began skyrocketing. As media interest increased, Peter Dunn's role of both press and investigating officer started to concern the two girls that had complained. With the news starting to break, Peter was supposed to delegate his press officer role to other members of the press officer team, but I don't think there was any evidence that he did do this or that he stepped away from his role. So Anna received the following email from Peter. Dear Anna, as you might imagine, we are now being asked by a number of journalists if all 11 precautionary suspensions still stand. We have not responded to those questions as yet, but obviously we cannot continue to simply ignore these questions. I therefore intend to issue a press statement in response. So to quote Anna in the BBC documentary, which we'll link below, she said, it was a very surreal experience for us to be receiving draft statements and investigatory notes from the same person.
Yeah, that's such a conflict of interest. That how can you, and also the way he words that, so they're asking if they're still suspended, so I'm going to have to make a press. It's not asking, are you okay, what's going on? It's asking about the boys. We need to make sure the boys are protected, that they know they're suspended. Peter, jog on.
There's zero trust for the handling of this at all. It was done in such an awful way.
It's so sad that this just isn't such a surprising situation. Myself and Liv, we live in Oxford and we have the notorious Bowling Club in Oxford University. They're banned from most bars in Oxford because of their horrific behaviour, not only towards women, but towards the general public in Oxford. But the amount of rape accusations against the Bowling Club and nothing is ever done against it, ever. It's shocking.
And it's kind of it's gotten to the point now where it's kind of a sarcastic comment that people say about the Bullingdon Club. Their reputation precedes them.
Yeah, they just fuck a pig, then become our Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And then this one becomes our Prime Minister, who was also part of the Bowling Club. These men have rape charges hanging over their head and nothing's been done about it. Johnson included. Sorry, carry on.
Throughout the disciplinary process, the university defended their decision to have a press officer as the investigator and denied that he had any conflict of interest, which I just think is so weird, because if I was university and then I messed up in this way and then it was getting round, people were very angry about this, then I'd be okay, we've decided to drop him, but they stood by him. It's just so weird.
It's utter bullshit. It's like quoting yourself as a source. You can't be yeah, this is legitimate because I said so. That's not how it works. You know what gate Peter can fuck off to.
So when Anna arrived to meet Peter, he was accusatory from the beginning, and the two girls were told their stories weren't adding up. Anna left the meeting crying. He had asked her if she had sexual relations with any of them, as if it matters.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can say yes, and then the next time you can say no. And guess what? Just because you said once before doesn't mean you say yes every single time. The stories weren't adding up. There was actual physical photos, full-on receipts. Hate Peter.
Also rape threats, in the messages they were sending, they weren't saying, oh, I'm going to have sex with her consent. It's I'm going to rape her in the street while everyone watches. He made her go through page after page and asked her, how did that make you feel? He kept asking her to go through and repeat violent rape threats to her and her friends. Anna said that she felt like she was being put on trial for coming forward.
Yeah, it's always the same. It's so disgusting.
It's so disgusting. They probably just wanted her to brush it under the carpet so they could move on and get the next paycheck.
I mean, how do you think it made her feel, Peter? Seriously, how the hell do you think that? How would you feel if you were sitting there and reading that about yourself, or if it was your wife or your daughter or anyone in your family? Such violent threats against you make you feel horrific. terrified.
Yeah, also, like, it does matter how it made her feel, but you don't need to ask her that. And also, making her read the messages again, you don't need to ask her how she feels about them. You should just see those messages and be like, the messages themselves are wrong.
Exactly.
Like, why do you have to get her to repeat them? You can read them for yourself. The BBC asked the university to provide information on any training that Peter Dunn had received, but they declined, saying that it would be a breach of his privacy.
Are you having a laugh?
Peter Dunn had put in writing that Anna's account of events revealed deeply worrying facts that undermine the credibility of Anna as a witness at several, if not all, key points of these events.
I have no words.
She hasn't faked the screenshots. I don't know what grounds they had to think that she was lying.
Someone's parents were clearly paying Peter off, weren't they? I really dislike Peter a lot. I really hope you're listening to this, Peter, and you know how much I hate you.
Not gonna lie, I think he's probably really narcissistic. I think anything that has been put out about this, he probably listens to because he likes people talking about him. He likes
Maybe.
shallow man.
Never thought about that. Yeah, completely. Not being funny, but he does come across the type of person he would totally engage in a group like that himself anyway.
I personally think that the handling of this situation was absolutely disgusting. It wasn't one single event, one time, or one text message. This was a pattern and a series of threats and misogynistic violence that spanned over a year and a half. After Peter Dunn had interviewed the women, he then interviewed each of the 11 men mentioned in the complaint. These interviews led to a new discovery. One of the men accidentally revealed that after a chat had been shut down, a second group had been set up. The new chat was called Boys 2.0. If you open this chat when you are not in it, you are asking to be offended.
Jesus Christ.
So stupid. How did they even get into university in the first place?
But just a blatant, like, unbelievable, like, male entitlement to think, like, oh, well, we can just open a new one. No one else will find it's fine. We can just talk how we want.
They must have thought that they were invincible, but obviously it revealed that they had no sense of remorse, and this became a key part of the case Peter began to build. Peter gave his recommendations for how each man should be disciplined. Out of the 11 men, he found that 2 had done nothing wrong. 3 more were deemed to have committed minor disciplinary offences. Examples of minor offences at Warwick University include ignoring no smoking areas and bringing shopping trolleys onto campus. How are they the same?
How is that even close to being a member of a group rape chat?
Yeah, where a video was exchanged of we don't know what, but it had to be handed in to the police. The same as bringing a shopping trolley onto campus.
I'm not being funny, but pretty much every university has a couple of students that own a shopping trolley parked out.
So the 2 women who had complained brought this up when they confronted a high-ranking university official about the disciplinary process. One of the girls took a secret video and is heard saying, "So why is it being considered the same as bringing a shopping trolley from Tesco onto campus? You're saying it's minor. You have officially done that." She mentioned an unknown boy and said, "He is the one who made this threatening by showing it to me. He made that an active threat by showing me that someone wanted to rape me." I couldn't agree with her more.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Like, what did he think when he showed her the messages? That she'd take it as a compliment and she'd just fall into his arms? Like,
can I just say as well, like, actual, like, amazingness for Anna to just keep fighting this, to not get knocked down, to just keep...
It is as well, because it seems like she was speaking on the behalf of everyone in the group, and this obviously really affected her. God, I get so hot in these episodes. I get so angry.
I know, me too.
So this left 6 more men who Peter said committed major offences, meaning they would have to appear in front of a disciplinary panel made up of university staff, academics and student representatives, including the then Student Union representative Hope Warsdale. One at a time, the men would appear before the panel, give a statement and then respond to questions. It took 2 days to question all of the men. In June 2018, the university announced the results of the disciplinary hearing. One of the men was banned from the university for life. 2 of the men received bans of 10 years and 2 were banned for 1 year, and the 6th man's case was deemed not proven. Some people were satisfied but unhappy it happened in the first place. The 2 girls were never told the outcomes of the disciplinary procedure. 4 months passed before the women heard the outcome of those appeals. The university put these down to a staff member taking a late summer holiday. Would it not be your first priority to tell the girls?
Exactly. I thought also, like, university staff and teaching, like, school staff weren't allowed to take holidays within term time. Office people allowed to take holidays during term time.
That's a good point. But you wouldn't just leave these 2 girls wandering around, not like they're meant to be there to get an education, not worrying if the boy's going to turn up in class the next day. The women found out the men could appeal their punishments, and 2 did. This saw the two men have their 10-year bans reduced to just 1 year, and it was never given an explanation apart from new evidence came to light, of which Anna never found out what the evidence was. This means that the two men would be returning in 2019, when some of the girls affected would still be studying at the university.
It's appalling.
The girls were never contacted about this. The appeals panel had been made up of academics and student representatives with no prior connections to the case, so those who gave the original punishments weren't included.
That's shocking. It really is.
It's such a miscarriage of justice. It's just...
Why wasn't more handed over to the police as well? Like, also, what were Warwickshire police doing? Like,
I mean, this is something where, I don't know, they shouldn't even be allowed to attend university at Warwick ever again.
they should be in bloody prison. Let alone college and university. They should be at least made to go to some sort of like court awareness training or some sort of like rehab, effectively, because
like a class on sexual consent.
Exactly.
So by Christmas 2018, the university had confirmed that they had officially closed the investigation. At the start of term in 2019, the outcome of the appeals was beginning to spread around the campus. Nicole went to Twitter and put the screenshots up using the hashtag #ShameOnYouWarwick. Old, current and prospective students led to Twitter to denounce the university as well as parents and staff. The Warwick University English department put out a statement to say they disagreed with what had happened. 2 days before a planned protest, Stuart Croft, I think the Vice-Chancellor, announced that the two boys who had their sentences reduced would not be returning to campus. Students and staff believed that this was because the boys chose not to take up their places at university again, rather than the university suddenly had a change of morals.
Yeah. But the stupid thing, like, not even like the university are appalling. Like the fact that even departments within, like students and parents and own departments within the university had to stand up and say, actually, you can't let men who have created a rape chat back into the university. The fact that the boys they were so arrogant. They were going to come back. They thought they could just waltz back to it, or did they expect some sort of like fame and popularity from it all? Like,
people actually they withdrew their applications to the university because it was one group chat of boys who happened to find each other, but it's also the way the university handled it. The amount of horrible things that go on that happen to women at universities, I would want to know that I'm going to one that's actually going to have my back.
Exactly. If I ever had kids and I was like, if they were applying for university at this point in time, there's absolutely no way in hell would I be happy with them going to Warwick University. No way.
No. Because I know some people that go to Warwick University. I think they do drama or music or something, but they're so talented and they deserve so much better.
Just everyone in that story except the perpetrators deserve better. The victims, the other student body of the university, the staff that had to teach those horrific narcissistic pieces of shit deserve better.
So the university released a statement apologising and said it understood the victims of this abuse and that there would be an independent review of disciplinary procedures. Sure. I know, I can't believe that this happened from a university like Warwick.
Yeah.
Get your shit together, honestly.
You could, like we were speaking earlier about the bowling club, you could almost expect it from places like Oxford and Cambridge, where there is literally like generations of institutionalised like incel behaviour where men get away with whatever they want because mum and dad pay for it to be pushed under the carpet. Not somewhere like Warwick, which is in UK terms a relatively modern university.
Warwick published the independent external review into its disciplinary procedures in July 2019. The review found the handling of the case had created a legacy of mistrust at the university. Warwick has accepted the findings and recommendations made in the review. Vice-Chancellor Stuart Croft had apologised, telling the BBC profound changes will be made to the way complaints are handled.
Okay, so Stuart Croft should lose his job. He shouldn't be able to say, we'll make changes. No. Changes should be in the sense that you have no longer got a job because you have failed your students miserably. And I can't believe I'm going to say this as well, but not just the women who were victimised in those messages, but those boys that are part of those messages, because what effectively have they really learned? Nothing. If no one finds out about the disciplinary meeting, nothing happens. Because if that story had not made that Warwickshire newspaper, like the Warwick University newspaper, it wouldn't have been that well known in the university, would it?
No, and I couldn't find the identities of these boys.
I hate that they're protected.
So it's not like, they're just completely shielded.
But they shouldn't be, because they're not even minors, because they're at university, which means they must be at least 18. And if they've been there for a year or so, they're going to be 19, 20, which means they are of age. they should be named, because
Yeah.
what if your child or you or your sister or someone dated someone like that? Because whoever dates those boys is not safe at all, because they're clearly capable of like pretty horrific things.
It's also like the two boys that had their bans reduced to 1 year, they who decided not to take up their place at university again, they've probably gone to another university, did like a credit transfer or something, and they've just gone to another university where no one suspects them of doing this. But this isn't just a one-time event, as we've already said. In March this year, headlines broke of endemic levels of sexual violence happening in UK schools. On the 26th of March, 5,800 accounts of sexual harassment, abuse and assault were posted on campaign website Everyone's Invited. And in 2017, Girl Guiding's Girls' Attitude Survey found that 64% of girls aged 13 to 21 had experienced some sort of sexual violence or harassment within the previous year at school. Is that not a bit much?
It's a bit too much.
These girls are meant to be getting an education, but they had to fear an assault happening to them within their school. Of the 64%, 39% had their bra strap pulled by a boy and 27% had their skirts pulled up in the previous week. Examples of sexual violence include rape, assault by penetration, and sexual assault where someone touches someone without their consent. Sexual harassment includes making sexual remarks about clothes or appearance, sexual jokes or taunting, online sexual harassment as well. These are how the terms are defined by the government. So what can be done about this? The Higher Education Policy Institute conducted a survey and found that 58% of students backed the idea of having to pass a test to show that they fully understood consent. The Think Tank survey of 1,000 students also found that only a quarter felt they had been adequately prepared by sex education in school to have a comprehensive understanding of sexual consent.
I'm not being funny, I'm really not, but what part of sex education has anything to do with consent?
Nothing.
How can you not understand when someone says no, that means no? Or if someone is fighting you or clawing at your eyes, or even if they just completely shut down, as common with women, they just shut down and they're just lying there unresponsive. Or if they're drunk and on the bed and not able to say yes or no. How is learning to put a fucking condom on a test tube in a school going to teach you that is not consent?
Yeah, like I remember being in school and we had sex education once every 2 weeks, and everyone just kind of said, oh, we've got sex ed later, it's basically a free period. Like no one took it seriously. Like the lessons themselves are not structured in a way to make anyone interested or actually educate anyone. But when you actually see numbers like this, like 64% of girls had experienced sexual assault or sexual harassment in the school. So if you are at school or at university and this is happening to you, consider reaching out to a teacher you trust or go to the top of the chain. When I was a kid, I was terrified of speaking to the head teacher. I thought they were so far above me. I thought they were like the prime minister. But honestly, if something like this is happening to you, just go to the head teacher. And if that doesn't work and they don't listen to you, you could go to the police, take to Twitter or your local it's like Spotted Facebook, like Spotted Oxford group, and post it on there, because we see a lot of true crime cases where they're being neglected until there's an outcry on social media. Know your worth, you're far more than they'll allow you to know, and it's not just locker room talk or banter. Boys will be boys is a cop-out and it's not acceptable. And if you've experienced any of the issues discussed in this episode, the NSPCC have set up a helpline to report abuse in schools, and we will leave a link in the description below.
It's such shocking statistics, it really is.
I know, when you actually look at the numbers.
Is it what 97% of women in the UK have suffered some form of sexual harassment or assault? And it's not acceptable, and it's not. Any woman listening to this, well, the majority of women listening to this will sit there and be like, oh, I've maybe never been sexually harassed, or I'm not part of that. Well, what about the times you've been walking down the street and some man's grabbed your ass, or you've been walking through a club and someone's put his hands on you somewhere where you don't want your hands on, or someone's tried to kiss you when you said no in a bar? All those things are sexual assault. The media before social media was very male-run industry. They didn't want you to know these things were sexual assault because it's normal for men to do that, and it's not, because you look at the men who, like me and Olivia were saying, we have a lot of male friends in our life. Do they behave like that? Absolutely not. So don't let them do that. Don't let them get away with it. If you are in a pub, a club, or in a park, or anywhere, and someone touches you inappropriate like that, go to a bouncer, go to a barman, call the police if you have to, report it, don't let them get away with it.
And if anyone tells you to take it as a joke or this is just how boys talk, tell them where to go. I've had lots of people say to me, like of the older generation, saying, this stuff happened when I was a child. I can't believe it's still happening now. I thought it stopped. And there's so many more layers because social media is involved, like revenge porn.
Revenge porn is like such a horrific thing to happen. But it also goes to a whole other level at the moment where, sadly, as Olivia was saying in those statistics earlier, that statistic within schools goes from children aged 13, which means if this is happening to children aged 13 and they do have some sort of inappropriate image, that's child porn. They are distributing child porn. And it's horrific when you think about that.
And also, if a 13-year-old comes up to you and says, this has happened to me, and you say, boys will be boys, that's how they're going to let people treat them for the rest of their life. So don't be an asshole.
Yeah, don't be an arsehole. And if someone says to you, this has happened to me and I want to talk about it, don't care how difficult it is for you to sit down and listen to it. They just need to tell someone and just be that person that they can talk to and advise them of their right, not even their rights, just tell them that they're not wrong, because they're not. This was not their fault. This was the person who did this time of fault. And even though there may be no more DNA evidence or anything relating to the case, that does not mean they cannot report this to the police. They can.
Girls should be going to school to get an education, not to be scared of like walking up a staircase in case they get grabbed behind from someone or their skirt pulled up. It's so disgusting.
I know. It really, even just little things like we've obviously left school, we're grown up and kind of grown up, and we have jobs and we live our lives. But if it's summer and I've got a dress on, I wear cycle shorts underneath my dress, and I actually have even like old leggings where I cut them off and like sewn them up just as like even shorter ones. So if I do have a slightly shorter dress on than normal, you can't see my shorts kind of like underneath it. So if anything does happen, I've still got shorts on underneath. One, obviously I do not want people to see my underwear, but two, it's more for if it does blow up and my underwear does show, and something happens to me, clearly, according to lots of people, I would be quote unquote asking for it. And it's disgusting that we have to think like that.
And it's also like, teach your sons not to assault people, not to objectify women, rather than teaching girls to wear shorts under their skirt just in case someone tries to grab them or lift it up. Like, have some respect. God damn it.
Exactly. Rape has nothing to do with fashion and everything to do with rapists. Everything to do with it.
Because otherwise rates would go down in the winter, but they don't.
Exactly. I don't give a shit if some woman's walking down the street in her bikini. That's her right to walk around in her bikini. That means she's asking for it.
Okay, so I agree. I need to round this off. Oh, I need a tequila.
Yeah, I know.
Right, thank you for being here, everyone. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to us or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you in the next episodes. And we will be leaving some links down in the description, which we think you should all read.
Thank you very much. And remember to follow us on all the socials. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Bye.
Bye.